this plugged in all day and then realized I never had this part plugged in. So I have 20% left.
All right, Mike.
All right, thank you, Christian. Thanks, Christian. Welcome, everyone, to
Center up
the,
your microphone, please.
excuse me?
Center up your microphone so you're talking to.
Welcome, everyone, to the August 21st meeting of the Wareham School Committee. The chair and the vice chair are away today, and in their absence as secretary, I'm chair tonight. Start off right away with public participation. Is anyone here that wants to speak before the committee? Moving on. Any good news? No good news?
Yeah, you're here.
Jeez. We're all here. We have a quorum. That's good news. Moving on to the minutes of the meeting for July 29th, 2013.
I move approval of the minutes for July 29, 2013 as written,
Is there a second?
unless there were corrections. I didn't notice any.
I am struggling to find it on my computer, but is that the minutes where
That's the workshop.
that's the workshop? No problem with that. I'll take a second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I had some things I wanted to point out. It's a technical peeve, I guess, but in here, in the attendance, it lists the superintendent, Shaver Hood. Would it be, where it was July 29th, would it be appropriate to say incoming superintendent, where she wasn't the actual superintendent? So, incoming superintendent. And question I had too, I don't remember this from the meeting, but in the, under the pupil transportation, under the second paragraph, it says here, Chair Vugan reported that previously a recommendation was made by Mr. Tatro and Dr. Rubenovich for a 3-tier transportation system to save money and would cut services, parentheses, 1 mile elementary and 1.5 mile secondary. And I thought it was only 1 mile secondary and that the elementary wasn't going to be impacted at all.
We're required to bus.
No, this is just what was discussed in the proposal. And as I recall, there was as it was proposed and discussed, there was going to be no change to the elementary.
I believe that's incorrect.
Okay.
Yes, there was a total of about 130 students, some of which related to Minot Forest in
Okay.
particular.
Okay. Then I won't mention that one. So just that one I mentioned. Have a motion and a second, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous? Moving on to August 7th, 2013, the minutes. That was the last regular meeting.
I have one correction. It's, Michelle, in the line that talks about the savings between FY12 and FY13, it talks about $100,000. It's $100,000 savings, but the total deficit was still $120,000. See where?
Are you under school transportation?
Yes.
I think it's the paragraph above the bolded acceptance of gifts.
That sounds right, and I apologize, I can't reference the specific line.
So probably the last paragraph under recommendation for school transportation.
The initial, the beginning of the line, thank you. Beginning of the line talks about okay. Yes, just above acceptance of gifts. Ran the department much more efficiently and reduced a $226,000 deficit to it should be a $120,000 deficit. Thanks.
instead of 100,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Any more corrections? I'll add 2 more paragraphs above that. It says, Mr. Flaherty stated there was no vote by this committee because Dr. Rabinovich removed his recommendation. I'm just being technical again. He technically withdrew his recommendation, so I'd rather substitute withdrew instead of removed.
No problem.
Did you get that, Michelle?
Drew instead of removed.
Correct. So can I have a motion to accept?
I move approval of the minutes of August 7th with the corrections by Mr. Sweat and Mr. Flaherty.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. Next item on the agenda is appointment of Administrator of Special Education.
I'd like to invite Dr. Marks to sit at the table for you to meet.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you. I'm glad to be here. I'd like to thank you all for this wonderful opportunity to work with your new team and to support you and the staff and the students here in Wareham.
I would ask the committee to approve my recommendation of Dr. Marks for the Director of Student Services.
Do we have, do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the recommendation by the superintendent for Dr. Mark's position.
In a second?
Happy to second.
Further discussion?
I just want to say that I was happy to be a part of the selection committee, and I think we have an outstanding candidate to fill this position, and I'm very pleased that she's willing to accept it.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. Welcome. Moving on, next item on the agenda is presentation by instructional leadership team.
I would like to invite Mrs. Rotella and the members of the leadership team that are here to come forward and to present their information about their duties, their vision, and the framework as they move forward. I would like to share, though, actually this came about as I was privileged to sit in on a meeting with this group approximately 2 weeks ago, and when I started hearing all the wonderful things and the wonderful ideas they had, I thought, wouldn't it be great to have them come to the committee and present? Hence this presentation. So they worked very hard. There's a PowerPoint, and I know that they'll be very happy to answer any questions that you may have at the end of their presentation.
At this point, neither the computer or PowerPoint seem to be operational, so we'll go ahead with low-tech. And if anyone needs a paper copy of the PowerPoint, we have extras here. Okay, so let me pass those out. I first of all want to thank our new superintendent for inviting the instructional leadership team and for sitting in on our first meeting of the year. And secondly, I want to thank the school committee for the chance to have the representatives of the instructional leadership team here and to talk to you about the work that they do and have been doing for 5 years. We have a small representative group tonight for no other reason than we have many people on vacation. And as you can see, our ILT members are ready to jump in and help at any point. And when equipment isn't ready, they're turning it on and getting it going. So we will have a PowerPoint in just a moment. But to begin and give you a little history, a number of years ago, there were one series after another of ad hoc committees in the district, dealing with current issues, dealing with whatever initiatives were going on. And so about 6 or 7 years ago, I introduced to Dr. Collins, the superintendent at the time, the idea of instructional leadership team, which I had been reading about and seeing and reading about its success in other schools in other parts of the country. We posted the opportunity, and the team has existed for 5 years. Some of our members have been members of the instructional leadership team since the very beginning. Others are new, and some have passed on by going to other school districts or felt they have done their time of service. The purpose of the team is to serve as a liaison between the district administrators and teachers in the classroom, but most importantly, to give teacher leaders the voice in planning and in the work of curriculum and instruction and professional development in the district. That being said, I'm going to turn this over to our representatives of the team tonight, who will talk to you about some of the things that have been done and some of the things that continue to be done, as well as projects and plans for the year ahead. This is an incredible group. You will see on the slide that's in the paper and the one that's soon to come before you that there are over 22 teacher leaders from all of the schools in the district who participate in the work of the instructional leadership team. And you will be hearing more about that as we continue with the presentation, and I'm going to ask Tracy to come forward at this time.
Good evening. I'm Tracy Cote. I work at the middle school as an instructional leader. I've been in the district of Wareham for 18 years. I was a science teacher at the middle school and also a special ed teacher at the middle school. The ILT team meets monthly. Typically, we meet more than monthly. We are a vertical and horizontal representation from the district. Before we had the ILT team, we often didn't talk to each other. Administration would get together, and that's how we heard about information. So really, the ILT team is the voice of the district. Teachers within the middle school will come to me, and I will voice their concerns. I will voice their suggestions at this team. We can also, members from our staff are welcome to join us at any point. We've had presentations from people that aren't necessarily on the committee. And so it's our way to share information about curriculum, instruction, training. We also, this is where the curriculum review takes place, and it's just a continuous process. We have Common Core standards in ELA and math that we've been working on for years. When I go to meetings, Wareham is ahead of the game with that. There's still many school districts that haven't really instituted the Common Core standards and teachers knowing about those standards. So we bring that knowledge from these meetings back to our schools. We also have aligned curriculum maps across the district, and we do this in various ways. We have certain programs that we're using, and it's really feedback from all areas. We have subcommittees that are working. Some of the subcommittees are from ILT members, and some of the subcommittees are from staff members outside the ILT committee. So currently there are the Next Generation Science Standards. Those are our national standards that have come out. Massachusetts is deciding on how they're going to accept those. We are preparing for that. We have aligned the practices by grade level. We've also met as a committee trying to decipher these national standards for science. They're quite intense standards. The way that they're set up is very different than what we have right now. So we're just waiting for the go-ahead from the state, but we've already basically torn them apart, and we started 2 years ago on that process. We have a literacy committee that has worked intensely on informational text and how that has impacted our standards in ELA. we've done curriculum alignment and, again, district maps in that area. The math vertical team I was a part of, and it was a wonderful experience. There has been a lot of significant changes in math, a lot of movement in standards. Some standards that used to be 6th grade standards are now 4th grade standards. We have those conversations during these meetings, and then that's brought back to the ILT team. So it's really our way of staying on top of all of the educational changes that are taking place, and having a voice. I think it really gives staff a voice, and I'd like us to get that more out there into the schools, so that teachers really feel that this is the sounding board. And the ILT team is how we get together and do that. Like I said, it doesn't take place in a lot of school systems. This is our way to know, oh, they're doing this at the high school, and how is that taking place? And we see exemplary teachers. We see our students excelling. And it's good to bring that to the table. And when we're struggling with issues, it's good to hear how other schools are dealing with those issues and how we can come together as a district.
Good evening. I'm Cheryl Morin. I'm an instructional leader at the Deacon's Elementary School. I've worked at the Wareham school system now for 13 years in several different capacities. I was at the middle school for several years. I also worked at the cooperative school, and now I'm at the elementary school. So I have seen Wareham students all across our school system, which is a nice vantage point to have. I've also been part of the instructional leadership team, I believe since its first year, maybe the second year, but I've been a part of the team for several years now. The two slides I'm going to cover focus on professional development and data coaching. The instructional leadership team takes a real leadership approach to the professional development that is in the district. Oftentimes, if there's workshops that are outside the district, we will be sent to those workshops, and then we will come back with that information. So we can find out what's going on in the world of education and disseminate it through. Anytime we have in-service days, early release days, typically some or all of us are involved in some type of the professional development, whether it be a district type of initiative like the 6+1 writing traits that we instituted several years back, or if it's something that is a state mandate like the Edwin Analytics. We are used in the capacity of learning about new things and bringing it back to the rest of the town. One of our big professional development that's started several years ago is the data coaching. 3 summers ago, the instructional leaders were sent to a week-long intensive workshop on data coaching. And over the last several years, more and more teachers and administrators have been trained in the data coaching. And this is not just members of the ILT team, but also another subset, which is the data coaching team. I have to put my glasses on. Within the data coaching, one of the things that we're implementing are the protocols and procedures that are going to be used district-wide. We are going to be implementing building-based instructional data teams so that we can use the data to the best ability that we can to increase student achievement and to help students. Then we'll have meetings and plannings and collegial conversations, and then we'll discuss what instructional strategies the data is informing us of and what we should be using within the classroom. The ILT and the data coaching are going to be merging a lot this year to really formulate both district data teams as well as the school-based data teams. When we're doing that, we're going to be looking at the curriculum, how the curriculum is being accessed by our students. We are going to be bringing the curriculum maps and the instructional data together to inform instruction. And finally, we're going to use the data in the data coaching teams to help develop formative assessments throughout the district, and that will be common across grade levels and across the district so that there is more commonality for our students as they're going through the Wareham School District. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Trish O'Brien, and I'm currently at the Minot Forest School as an instructional leader and also a part-time interventionist. I have been in Wareham now this will be my 18th year, and I've been in education for much longer than that. Before I went to Minot, I was a 6th grade English teacher here at the middle school, and I believe one of my former students is your student representative at the moment, and I'm very pleased to see that. Congratulations. The slide that I'm going to be referring to is more on what the ILT has done and accomplished in the last few years. One of the areas, again, in professional development, is that we help to facilitate and pull together groups of teachers for professional development, book study groups, as needs seem to arise, or there seems to be some kind of group impetus to move forward for a particular reason. For instance, in the past year, we had a book study group on Tomlinson's Differentiated Classroom book, and we had quite a nice group of teachers that met on Thursday afternoons, and we discussed some of the chapters that we read and the implications for application to the classroom. We have Moodle site where people post their comments and we converse back and forth, and we will meet again in the fall to talk about how we're going to apply what we've discussed, read, and learned to better provide for the education for the students in the area of differentiation. And that's just one of the examples of the kinds of things that started with the instructional leadership team, and the seed grew from there. We disseminate information. We are, different representations of us may be sent, as Cheryl referred to professional development opportunities. And we gather information, bring it back. We meet on a monthly basis. We gather the information, we bring it into the buildings, and it helps to keep us ahead of policies and procedures that are coming from maybe state or federal initiatives. As you know, it's constantly growing and constantly changing. We have read and discussed and learned such initiatives as PARC, the Common Core Standards, the Mass Curriculum Frameworks. We help teachers become more aware of what those are, what the implications are for their planning in their classrooms, the planning of instruction, how to incorporate additional instructional informational text into their reading, for instance, the different ways that they might approach that, the importance of it for the students, the importance for the forthcoming PARC assessments and MCAS tests. And we also provide, it becomes part of the professional development planning that gets discussed at the ILT meetings, that perhaps teachers need a little more support in those areas. So it's a give and take, it's a communication. We basically are liaisons between administration, the teachers, the building, among ourselves, across schools, subjects, disciplines. It's a very representative group, and in that way we become knowledgeable of what's going on in a variety of areas, and we serve as the communication conduit back and forth so that people are aware of what's going on, and we can support and assist and be informed when Mrs. Rotella is planning her professional development. A lot of the input goes into it in terms of what are the needs, what's being fed back through us to Mrs. Rotella and administration. So I will now turn it over, I believe, to Robin Murphy.
Hi, I'm Robin Murphy. I am instructional leader, part-time interventionist from Minot Forest School. And I'm going to talk about what we're planning for the next year. As you've heard, we already had our first meeting for the school year 2013-2014. And we have decided that we're really excited about the focus of the school year and the energy that the new superintendent has brought to that first meeting. And the building, or hopefully, that we're going to be building towards a singular vision within this district. The two focuses that I'm going to talk about are, we're going to be focusing on the student and focusing on the quality of instruction and rigor. And I was just reading, I believe it's Wednesday, yesterday in the paper was a great article about our summer care program and our robotics program that our children were a part of over the past summer. And just celebrating that, I had such a great feeling and seeing it in press and seeing a great wordy article about our students in Wareham and how fantastic they worked this summer and learned. And we need to celebrate that more. And so as the instructional leadership team, we're going to get the word out there to the teachers. Please share with us the successes of the students and how they're growing and how they're learning. We also want to make sure that we support the teachers in their instructional planning and how they are going about their learning about their own teaching. We need to know, we need to focus on the interventions, both for our struggling students and for our students who are excelling. And through the use of the instructional leadership team, we have those discussions about, oh, I tried this. This really worked for my struggling students. This really worked for my students who are excelling. And we can share that with each other. As Trish talked about, the book studies. We're going to be beginning another one in September. The teachers, I was on the Moodle the other night, and teachers have already decided which practices they're going to incorporate into their school year and what they're going to start with. And we're hoping that they'll be our models, and we can have other teachers go in and see what they're doing, facilitating this through the instructional leadership team. We also help, and will be helping again this year, in professional development. Next year is the beginning of our school year. We have professional development, teacher and services for 2 days next week. Many of us are taking part in being facilitators during those 2 days. I myself am facilitating a training on the new Edward teaching and learning system. I know Tracy Cote this past week has been working hard facilitating the 5th, 6th grade merging. I'm not sure, I can't remember the name of it. What was it? Institute, 5th and 6th grade institute that is occurring at this school this week. So we will be doing that throughout the year. And we're also going to be really jumping in on our data coaching and data analysis, working together as an instructional leadership team to help the teachers increase their knowledge of how to use the data to drive their instruction. So that is part of what we're looking forward to for this next year, and I'm going to turn it over to Henry to finish up our year.
Thank you.
All right, let's see.
Just go down one.
Huh? Whoops, next.
So my name is Henry St. Julian. I'm in the high school level, and I'm entering my 20th year at the Wareham Public Schools. I'm part of the new department, humanities department, which is social studies and history put together. And so as a member of that department, I'm part of ILT, and the plans for 2014 is 21st century learning opportunities. And how we do this, we'll get into teams, and we will review materials and look at these materials in vertical and horizontal teams. Last summer, I was involved with ELA and social studies teachers getting together and looking at ways on how do we implement Common Core standards. So that's one example of doing that. Another thing that we want to get in 21st century opportunities is technology. And just last spring, we were involved in, I believe, I can't tell you how many teachers, someone has to help me out with the number of teachers in the district that had iPad pilot program and Edwin program. How many teachers were there involved? 21. 2 in my department got involved in that, and And the great part of that technology involvement is this fall, they're going to come in our department meetings and talk about how did they implement the Edwin, or how did they implement iPad. So I think that will foster more opportunities for all teachers. So ILT is also moving forward. The only way we're going to move forward is through collaboration. I think you've been hearing a lot about voice and things like that, but we don't move unless we hear all parties. And we have many examples of collaboration in the Wareham district. The one that I was involved in, and I came here last spring and showed you what global education team came together, and we went to Cape Verde, and that was a collaboration from teachers from the elementary, middle school, and high school level. And things will not get done unless they have proper collaboration. Another example of collaboration is our data analysis in-service meetings, where we have teachers from different schools coming together and talking about the data and looking for weaknesses in students and then coming up with solutions. Collaboration, I believe, is a strong part of ILT scenario. And then, of course, we have all these in-services, but it's not only one way. The in-service teachers go through the in-services with us, and then teachers have surveys, and we come back and we look at the surveys, and we want to change. And so the ILT just, what we're planning, we're moving. We are moving forward, and that's how we're doing. So in conclusion, our goal, and I like that I have the first one, we're going to talk about a couple of goals, but our goal is voice, and I think you've heard it. I think you understand that in our group, when we meet monthly, students will talk to individual teachers and we'll bring it up. Teachers will talk to one of us and we'll bring it up. Administration will talk to us and we'll bring it up and talk about that in our group. This ILT gives us a voice, and not only do we bring in voices from individual schools, but then I get to, if I'm sitting down at the high school level, I get to hear a big picture of what's going on in the elementary level or the middle school level, and then I'll be able to talk to teachers back to my home base. So I'll just say, this is the reason why we're doing it. It's because of what's going on in the elementary. And so a major goal of ILT is the voice capacity. I think we have some other.
One of the other major goals that we see for our ILT team is the capacity building. School districts, like many other professions, often have either attrition or retirement that can sometimes break the foundation of a school district or some of the policies that we're trying to enact. By having this ILT that often has the same core group of teachers, and we're able to build capacity within our team, bring that out to our district so that there's always that continuity. So when new teachers come aboard, when teachers leave, we still have that basic core group of people that know what's happening and knows what the vision is of our district.
And another one of our objectives is collaboration. I think you've heard that throughout this whole presentation, is the ability of us to collaborate with each other. The ILT gives us an opportunity to be both horizontal and vertically collaborative. And it's, especially when we're talking about curriculum, there's nothing better than to have teachers from all levels sitting and discussing what needs to be done.
And to maintain that singular vision. Through our collaboration, we ensure that we're all working for the student. We're all working toward a singular goal of improved student instruction, and we can spread the word of that vision between and amongst ourselves, again, vertically, horizontally, and throughout the entire school district.
I think Trish summed up everything I was just going to say. So just to wrap it up, I mean, our ultimate goal in ILT is to improve instruction and improve student achievement and learning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any
questions?
I was gonna say, any,
We don't need you.
thank you. Any questions from the committee?
No. You have questions? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
First of all, thank you for being here on a summer evening. I must confess that I'm sitting here feeling some consternation. I am willing to believe that a little less than 10% of the educators that teach our children can get together and collaborate and be passionate about it, and I hear that passion. And my consternation comes from the fact that this has been going on to a greater or lesser extent now for 5 years, I think was what I heard. And the school committee routinely sees inferior results. So I want to understand, my guess is you're as frustrated about that as we are. So I want to understand what's missing. How can we take the passion, the skills, the knowledge, the collaboration that has been happening for 5 years and actually turn it into something that is concrete for our students? Now, I know that's a huge question. I'd love to hear half a dozen answers.
Well, first of all, this team has evolved. So everything that you've heard today didn't happen in the first year or the second year. I mean, it's evolved into this. It's evolved into how we see it. There is a lot of great things happening in this district, and it is frustrating when you don't necessarily see what you want to see happening with our scores. Scores aren't the end-all, be-all. However, I would say that we're hoping with our new superintendent, we have that vision, and the vision is focused for us. There are times when if we don't all share that vision, maybe we're not all focused on the same thing. So we are very excited with our new superintendent, and that she is guiding us in a vision that hopefully everything builds to that point. And progress takes time. And
I think also, I could yell. To add to that too is, and hearing you say 10%, you know, it's very depressing to hear that that would be your opinion. And that's what we need to change. We need to increase that 10% to 15% in September.
No, I only meant that the 10% represented the approximate size of the ILT.
Right, but we need to spread that voice. We need to spread that mindset, so teachers, every teacher feels when they go into their classroom, are as excited as we are.
Absolutely, yes.
And so as we have this group of 22, and over the past year, 2 years, this past year, our voice has gotten stronger, I know it has. And we've broken down some doors, and we've opened some doors that classroom teachers previously had tried to close. And we're beginning to get in there. And I know
that's quite a statement you just made.
The new superintendent, I know last week we mentioned this too, is we've got to get the positive. And we have to, I don't even know what to say. It's like, no, we can, come on, get up here, Trish.
I think
Just with the book club that we've done last year
that's what I was
something that
going for.
We were frustrated, and we were saying, why aren't we seeing improvements? And why isn't it happening? And we're here, and we're trying, and we then had our voice, and we said, what do you need? And when the trust is built, and it's taken us a couple of years to build that trust, but we feel we've built the trust in mind with the teachers, and they felt this is where they needed some help. And we have a group of 8 teachers who are so excited to begin the school year that I haven't seen in the past. And they have some tools that they're going to use.
And we're hoping that they will be models
Models.
for the remainder of the teachers who maybe didn't get on board when we offered
The first time
the
around.
first time around. We know we have others that are very close. They're on the
Right.
fence. They perhaps didn't have the time, or it wasn't the right time for them. But we have seen more and more interest in providing differentiated instruction to another level in the classroom. So it's begun. It's begun. It's not there. It's begun, and we're hoping in other areas as well. We've had increased interest in expectations and rigor, and that's been a tough one because there's some ownership in that as well, and it's been a tough one to break through. But we've seen little cracks now, so I think we're moving forward in that vein as well, and. I know Mrs. Rotella gave us a wonderful book to go over this summer on mindset, and it's been my beach read, not that and I'm hoping, I have to talk to my ILT members, but I'm hoping to maybe branch out into another book study, because it's so critical that we look at the value of student work and effort, and not necessarily always just having the right answer and calling on the student whose hand is first up, and some of the implications for that. So it's spreading, but it will take time.
But we've noticed the difference.
But
and the
things are
excitement,
changing.
And just even the past week, the emails that we're getting from teachers. I was on Facebook yesterday, and teachers are saying, oh, school starts next week. But the excitement about the professional development that we're having next week, I have not seen in years. The teachers are so excited because there's a wide range of choices for them. And I have not seen that excitement in years for teachers beginning the school year. And I think that is so important to start the school year and to get in there flying. And I'm you know.
Second question is maybe the wrong time. I'm sure it's not the wrong people, but it may be the wrong time, and I'll let Jan decide if it's the wrong question at the wrong time. But I am hearing that those states that have been early adopters of Common Core testing associated with the Common Core, are seeing dramatic reductions in student scores, like 30% drop in student scores. Since you've been working on the Common...
They're gonna get back here in a minute.
Since you've been working on aligning the Common Core standards to the instruction in the classroom, are you as concerned about that as I am based on other states' experience, or is Massachusetts, as usual, ahead, and we're going to have much less of an impact as a result of that implementation?
The most honest answer is yes and no, which sounds terribly political, and I really don't mean it. I mean it quite candidly. I think we've seen some dips because of the move to the Common Core standards. The alignment you've heard about tonight has been in place in various stages and phases over the last 2 years. And it is a huge increase in expectations for both students and teachers. And so those increased expectations have to be mirrored in the instruction. And that is something that I am especially proud of all of our members in the ILT. We took the draft Common Core. It came out in March of 2010, and we took that draft and passed it out, and they came back in June with comments on it, and then in September started planning. So the members of the team have began before even the mass frameworks in knowing what these expectations would be. What you heard about tonight is cracking that door and moving into the classroom. So do I think that we will see students and teachers rising to meet those expectations? Yes, I do. Do I think that it's going to affect outcomes? I am hoping that the effect on outcomes we see will be in the positive and not the negative because we have been working on it. And one of the things that I know one of the members of our team is itching to bring forward is the fact that there are 22 members of the team of teachers across all schools, all disciplines, regular ed, special ed, substantially separate rooms, school psychologists, I mean, literally totally representative. But they are not the only ones working on this. Just as tonight's PowerPoint was put together by a large number of the members of the team who sent in contributions and we synthesized it, the work of the team spreads out. And that work, I think, is what you're referring to, is what is the alignment doing in the classrooms? And how is that going beyond the 22 of the team? And I'm going to ask Cheryl to just come up a second, and because I know she's got some details she wants to share with you.
That's exactly it. We're, the ILT is a representative group. It may be 10%. If we had the entire staff in the room, we may not be able to get to as quick of consensus and collaboration. But our voices are the voices of the people that we work with. So when I'm working with teachers at Deacon's, when Tracy's working with teachers at the middle school, when Robin and Trish are at Minot and Henry are at the high school, we're hearing the voices of the teachers. We're hearing their concerns. We're hearing their frustrations sometimes. We're hearing their good news. We're hearing all of those, and that's what we bring back to the ILT, and then it branches out. So we're not alone 22 people in a room making closed doors decisions. We are part of the Wareham School District. We're living it, we're breathing it every day. Every day you see teachers come up with new strategies and how excited they are as they're learning this Common Core state standards, which is increasingly more rigorous, which can be scary to parents, to children, to teachers. But together we're really working on that and, again, building that capacity to make sure that our children benefit from good quality education. So we're just a representative 10%. We're not excluding voices. We're bringing the voices forward in order to achieve the best results that we can. And every year we see new and better results. It may not be coming on the same time frame that we would like. Everyone wants everything to be perfect yesterday. Any good system takes sometimes 5 to 7 years in order for true growth to show. And we're still in that time frame, so we're working hard. We'll get there. I think we have 18 more months.
18 more months to get it.
Thank you again for coming. I want to echo what Mr. Sweat had said too. Is you guys have been around for 5 years, and it's good to finally see this up here. We hear about the instructional leadership team and instructional leaders, and I don't think I've seen a presentation yet. So it's great that you've come today. I really appreciate it. But as Mr. Tell, as you know, there's a lot of confusion on what the instructional leaders do, and that's why I'm glad that you guys are here. But can you contrast this instructional leadership and there's instructional leaders, and some are evaluators and some are this? Sure. So can you just please define that so that people watching at home understand it, so I can stop trying to explain it?
I'll be happy to do so. First, I thank you for the recognition and having us here. I would be amiss if I didn't thank our superintendent. Ms. Shaver-Hood came to the first meeting and immediately invited this team to present tonight. So I'm glad we were able to do that, and I thank her for bringing this team forward. The definition of instructional leaders and how are instructional leaders different from the instructional leadership team. And I understand there has been confusion, and you and I have had many a conversation about this.
Yes.
I'm going to start with the instructional leadership team came first. And the instructional leadership team are not people who are in paid positions to be on this team. These are teachers, administrators, tech coordinator, some are department chairs, and some are among the new instructional leaders. But these are all teachers who, out of their commitment to students and their dedication to good quality instruction, came together to work as a group to help to move the district forward, and most of all, to collectively work on curriculum and professional development, because that never ends. And as you know, and in any profession, I don't believe it's just education, I think it's in any company, in any profession, if you are talking about revisions of policy, procedure, protocols, resources, you have to have a group of people who are part of that planning and are part of then the training for the implementation of the plan. And that is who the instructional leadership team is. They are a group of teachers and leaders in the teacher leaders who have taken on that responsibility to learn about what is happening in education, not just in our school district, not even just in Massachusetts, but across the country, and sometimes across the world, and bring that back to the classroom. So the team is a group of teacher leaders. They do receive a stipend according to the contract, for work beyond school time. But I will sit here and tell you without reservation, they do not get paid for all the hours they put in. These are people who will send emails to one another, sometimes copying me, sometimes just solving a problem at all hours of the day or night. We have a few that think emails between midnight and 3 a.m. is a good time to get things done. And that is their own time. So they're working with it. That is the team. The instructional leaders are, at this point, 5 people who were appointed as part of the reorganization in the district when, after the Supervision and Evaluation Subcommittee studied the new educator evaluation system. And I know Mr. Sweat's been a member of that committee we're going on 4 years, in looking at how do we implement the new educator evaluation system. It became readily obvious, and painfully so, that in order to implement this system, you needed more evaluators. And just as the high school structure has department chairs who were doing observing and evaluating, the middle school and elementary needed a similar structure, so that not only were principals and assistant principals doing those observations and evaluations, but so were other individuals. Because in this new system, every teacher, every educator is evaluated by 2 people. So that's double the work. So out of that committee work in supervision and evaluation, the proposal came forward to have instructional leaders in the elementary and middle school. The instructional leaders, it was strongly felt at the elementary school especially, should still be teachers in the classroom. So at the same time that we were implementing the new educator evaluation system, we were implementing a more structured response to intervention program, or RTI. We had had tiered instruction, we had had reading and math coaches, but we had not expanded interventions beyond that. So in order to expand interventions for struggling students and to offer acceleration for students who were ready to fly, we needed interventionists. So the proposal came forward from the committee at the elementary level in each school to have 2 part-time instructional leaders who would spend half of their time as instructional leaders. Their other half of the time, making them a full-time employee, would be as interventionists. And that's what occurs at the Minot and Deacon's schools. At the middle school, the principal felt to have a part-time instructional leader would negatively impact the team structure. And so to have a shared position in the middle school just didn't seem to flow as well. So at the middle school, the instructional leader is full-time. So are those instructional leaders members of the instructional leadership team? Yes, they are, in the same way that department chairs are, but they're 2 different roles. Was that too lengthy, or that clarify.
No, that was the best I've heard yet. I mean, thank you. I mean,
Thank you.
as you know, we've discussed this at least 3 times in as much time, and this is the best answer I've had so far. So I
Thank
thank
you.
you for that.
Thank you.
But I do, something did pique my interest, though. You mentioned that in the half instructional leader, the half interventionist. I'm familiar with that. And you said that that's still in place today in Deaconess and Minot, but I thought, given the new budget for FY14, that was done away with in Minot. Did that change?
No, it did not. What changed at Minot is there were additional part-time interventionists.
Okay.
And the principal opted to save classroom teachers and to maintain a reasonable class size, not to eliminate a teacher, but to eliminate two part-time interventionists.
Okay.
So what is going to be put in place at Minot that has already been discussed is that they will still have intervention blocks, and the instructional leaders will still be providing intervention, but they're also going to be coaching and supporting teachers to do intervention with their own students during the intervention block.
Okay. I really, back to the ILT now.
Okay.
Okay. I really liked, I think it was Robin who mentioned, we need to really share the successes, of what's going on in the school system. And Dr. Sylvia's not here tonight, but that's a point that he likes to bring up a lot too. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad you reminded everyone about that, the robotics thing that showed up in the local, one of the local papers, because that could have been easily a good news item that I didn't think about. So I'm glad you brought that up. But this bullet point here, the focus on instruction across the district, horizontally and vertically. Can you, anyone, give real examples of where the ILT has improved vertical or horizontal, specifically vertical alignment? But I'll take horizontal alignment if that's all you have. But
I'm going to pick on Tracy because she alluded to that.
Concrete examples of where the ILT improved that.
I can give you numerous examples. One example is our vertical alignment. So if you take math, for example, vertically in our grade levels, what your children are getting in one classroom in 7th grade, they're getting in the next classroom in the 7th grade. So we have 3 7th grade teachers. They may have a different teaching style and how they're presenting to students, but the alignment is there. The curriculum alignment is there. They're teaching the same standards at the same time. They're assessing the students on the same standards, and they're having discussions. That's what's really opened up in the last, I would say, couple of years, that they're now sitting down and saying, oh, wow, look at these results. They're awesome. What did you do? And we're having those. Teaching a lot of times, even if you're on a team, is closing the door and teaching in your classroom, and not sharing in that discussion with others. So the ILT team is talking about how we're doing that. So we may be doing that in 7th grade math in a different way, and I may say, well, why don't you try this? They're doing this in 7th grade math, and then they might say, oh, yeah, and our 4th grade team does that really well at Minot, and Deaconess says, well, how do you do it? So those discussions we would never have if we didn't have this team. And then, so you're taking it horizontally and vertically, and that has happened tremendously.
Can I give an example of that? Because that just happened last year. Last year, we have our math program is Everyday Math, and the elementary school has been using it for a few years, and the 6th grade was beginning to use it. And we were talking at one of our ILT meetings about 6th grade beginning the Everyday Math, and Tracy had mentioned, oh, I'd love to be able to see someone teaching an Everyday Math using the intervention part of their program. And Trish and I, we both said, we've got a 4th grade teacher who does it fabulously.
Fantastic. And so we can't get all our teachers there. So I went over there.
So she went over there.
And I watched a lesson. I brought that back to the middle school. And the middle school teachers are like, this is fantastic. That particular teacher at mine, it was like, any help they need whatsoever. those type of
That wouldn't have
communications
happened.
wouldn't happen because we just wouldn't have known, you know? And so.
It just happened at a meeting. We just
yeah.
happened to be sitting there and we were talking about this, and it was like, oh, there we go.
No,
Now
no,
we can do this.
that's what I was looking for. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Any more questions or comments on?
Yeah, I just want to thank you. I understand Mr. Sweat's point about numbers, and I agree with the comment. They're not the end all. But the most exciting thing that I heard was the excitement of the teachers. And I think that's great. It's something that's going to take time. It's not going to be done in a year. And I want to thank the superintendent because I was like Mr. Flaherty. We hear about the ILs and all of that, and it's good to see the people behind the scenes, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll wait for Michelle while she changes her tape. But moving along, we were going to have a report, an athletic report, but I think it's not quite ready.
Right, I would like to defer the athletic report until the next meeting. We're still working on compiling all the information in the framework that you would like to have, and we are expecting it in the next week or so.
So, moving along, FY13 end-of-year financial report. By Mr. McMillan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Committee. So as part of your papers, you should have received the 2013 provisional end-of-year report. And I've very consciously put provisional in the title there, as we are still working through our end-of-year report for DESE and still working with the town accountant to finalise our books for the year. So these are just provisional figures. They're not been finalised yet, and our plan is to come back to this committee in September to give you a fuller report, more comprehensive look at the budget with supporting information on teacher and staff numbers, if that's acceptable to the committee. So really, this is a first look at our numbers, an opportunity for me to respond to any initial questions you have, and also take away areas of focus that you'd like me to, concentrate on when I come back in September.
Are you all done?
Yeah. Oh no, I'll say a few more things about the report.
Okay, just let me know when you're ready for questions.
All right.
All right.
Well, I just wanted to just point out a couple of things about this report. It's a little bit different from the format that you've received in the past. In the just working from the left, so it has the function, it then has the 2013, the columns relating to the 2013 budget, and then the shaded area is a 2012 budget, and tagged on at the end is the 2014 budget, which allows you to compare what we did last year with previous year and our upcoming budget. So it throws up a lot of questions, but I think it's a useful comparison. Just in summary, so if you go to the end of the report, you can see that last year we spent just under 26.8. We spent $26.743 million, and after receipts, we were left with just around our current provisional figure, as we were left with just under $3,000. So that's the high level figure, and you can see the figures for each function in this report, and I don't know if you want me to go through any specific areas or if you'd like to just ask me some questions.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. McMillan? Mr. Sweat?
First of all, I think the format is a significant improvement. Thank you. There were a fair amount of pluses and minuses in the report. The fact that you got within, what'd you say, $3,000 or something?
Yeah.
Was a great financial juggling, My real overarching question is, and I realize you're new to it, but in some ways that's exactly the perspective I want. Do you have any concerns at all about the integrity of this document?
I do, at this stage, you know, it's still a provisional document, but I don't have any concerns about, well, at this stage, you know, we're still working through the numbers, but I would say I don't have any concerns about the integrity of the numbers.
You don't? Fine.
In terms of...
I'm not saying I know anything that should make you have
should I be nervous?
concern. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any concern, having taken a fresh look at it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have concerns about the integrity of the numbers. I mean, I think all the money was spent towards the educational needs of the district.
And that with small changes inevitably, perhaps between now and the final document,
Yeah.
you think it generally reflects exactly what was spent where?
Generally, yes. I mean, I think there are, and you know, this is the sort of thing that we'll go through as we finalise these numbers. But
you
generally,
don't
these function headings are, you know, generally a fair description of what was spent in these functions.
Okay. We don't know each other well enough. You're making you sound slightly hesitant, and I don't want to misconstrue that hesitancy.
No, do not misconstrue my hesitancy. These, at this stage, I'm perfectly confident that these numbers are a fair reflection of what was actually spent.
Okay, fine. Between now and your final report to us, I would really appreciate the superintendent looking at the substitute line. We have now crossed over $500,000 of substitute expense. It was a significant percentage above what was budgeted. And I, for one, just cannot believe that we need to spend $500,000 on substitute teachers during a school year. There must be some way to prevent that from occurring, and I would love you to take a fresh look at that issue and how that money is actually being spent. Because that's, you know, in a time of exceedingly finite resources, I would love to have some permanent teachers hired with that money and lower that by a significant amount. And it doesn't seem to matter what this committee says about that number. I compare it to police overtime in this town. Michael is nodding his head.
That's exactly what came to my mind when you said it.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
You know, the finance committee for a decade has said, how can you spend all that money on overtime? And every year it just happens and happens and happens. Well, it seems like that's what substitute teachers are for the school district. Doesn't matter what this committee says, it just keeps getting spent, and this year we went significantly over budget. So a fresh pair of eyes on that would be greatly appreciated. And I might even be willing to stop talking about it if both of you say, this is the best we can do. But I assure you I'll have some tough questions if that's the response. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fonce, anything about this report?
Jeff actually hit on the one that I had a asterisk next to, the substitute, so we'll wait until Ms. Shaver-Hood and Michael get into that and come back with some more. I lost my spot. I did. It looks like there's some savings, and again, you're new to the position, but I'm wondering what we're doing if, as far as savings and expenses like utilities and things. It says there's still $78,000 on 4130. Now, is that this 13 taking us through December? Will that use up a portion of that? I'm trying to find out what we've done. It's actually a good thing to achieve those savings compared to the prior 2000, 12 was also a little different, but we budgeted 582,000. There's a difference of 40,000. I don't know if it was closing of any buildings or anything that attributed to that.
Well, that's something I'll need to take away and look at in a bit more detail. But I think, like you say, closing the buildings will have
Yeah.
helped. And
Yeah, I'd just like to get a little handle on that. We used to have, Mr. Palladino was, what title do we have?
Energy czar.
He was
Yeah.
energy saver, and that's actually a position that I hope we can, the superintendent will look at again. I don't know what happened to it, but he was involved in finding ways to help reduce the cost for the schools, and then that money could be appropriated to other things other than substitutes.
Yeah. And I know Mr. Palladino would go around and support principals and giving them advice, so that may have contributed.
I think that's it. To me, it's just amazing, the payments to the collaborative.
Yeah.
I'm looking at those numbers and I said, you gotta be kidding me. And we're 142% in the negative on that. So if you can look into that, is the proper amount being budgeted for that?
We'll look into that.
Well, I think, that line should be looked at in conjunction with so that's 9,400 and 9,300 tend to be looked at together.
Yes.
Because they both go
Exactly.
to meet the costs of students who go outside the district, and where their needs are best met. It doesn't always follow where we've expected the funds, where we put the funds, and so, as you can see in that line, in 9,300 was actually ended with we still had 330,000 in that line, whereas we'd overspent by 320 something.
It almost washed itself out.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still a lot of money.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. I actually had a whole bunch of questions, but I'm going to reserve them until we have the full report.
Yeah.
You're aware of some of them I've sent
Yes.
to you. And the frustrating thing is you're definitely not going to be able to answer some of the questions I have because you weren't here for it, and
Yeah.
ditto our new superintendent, and maybe I'll have to ask Mrs. Rotella. so anyway,
That's not fair.
the idea is I'm going to try to send you my questions in
Yeah,
email
if you
ahead
can
of
send
time,
them,
and you can ask all the
that'd
right
be
people
excellent.
in the finance department that might be able to
That'd be
answer
great.
them.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's it. Everybody all set on this? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you,
very
Mike.
Before he leaves, Michael, before you leave,
Oh, yes.
we have the,
Yeah, well, we've. So, superintendent has just passed around a draft warrant article to go to the next town meeting to approve the funds for the feasibility study for the high school roof project, a partial replacement of the high school roof, a large part of it. And
Just
that
speak up, please.
Sorry, I was just saying that the superintendent just passed around a draft warrant article to go to the next town meeting to propose funding for a feasibility study for a partial replacement of the high school roof. And this has just been recently, the Massachusetts School Building Authority recently accepted our sort of initial acceptance of our proposal for renewing the school roof, which would mean eventually, if that all went through, we would get 68% of those costs refunded to us.
Are you looking for a vote on this?
it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
So we cannot take a vote.
Okay. That's I was going to say that. Just a heads up, I guess, right?
Right, we will
Gotcha.
be placing it on the agenda for the next meeting, and we'll be moving it ahead to the selectmen. Part of the reason why we need to get this in, our clock has started as of July, I believe it was 29th, when we received notification. That starts our 60-day clock into being able to say to the state, yes, we do have funding for the feasibility study. This feasibility study will then look at what the potential costs are. We'll have a project designer and an architect assigned to us, and then they will come back with a full report. At that point, then we will know the amount that we will need to go out, or that will need to be borrowed to complete the project. So this is just the initial stage.
No, I thank you very much for the heads up.
This is what Mr. Palladino presented.
Yeah, I had asked him about it. It was reported, and he said we're gonna get something like 60-something% from the state if this goes through,
Yeah.
for the whole roof. Mr. Sweat?
I can already see the reaction to this. So we're not in a position where we can simply put out bids and, based on documents that we create, we have to spend a sufficient sum of money ahead of time to create those documents. Do we have any idea of what this, quote, sufficient sum of money, the magnitude of this is?
For this feasibility
Yes.
study, I would say it would be no more than 60,000.
Okay, thank you.
Is that 60,000 recouped in the 68% that we get back?
It can be rolled into the borrowing, or rolled into the final number.
Okay.
Are we done with the business manager's report?
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, next item on the agenda is update on lease of the Hammond School.
Right. We are continuing to work with the various parties who have put in an RFP. It is our hope that for the meeting of September 4th, we will have a resolution, or we will be closer to a resolution, and I certainly will be sharing more information as we come to it. I put it on the agenda just to let you know that it is not dropped off site, and that we are continuing to work toward it.
Any questions, concerns? Mr. Sweat?
No, thank you.
Oh, I thought you raised your hand.
That was frustration.
Oh, no. Is there anything time-sensitive about this that needs to be decided upon? Like, what is the, when are we going to get a final answer on this?
We certainly hope that for the September 4th meeting, we will have a final agreement for you that you will then vote on, and it will go to the selectmen.
Okay. Thank you. Next agenda item is acceptance of a gift.
I would like to recommend for acceptance of a monetary donation from Mr. Sweat toward the repair of the tennis courts.
Do we have a motion?
Does Mrs. Sweat know about this?
Yes.
That's my first question. I'm speechless. This is absolutely outstanding gesture by Mr. Sweat, and 1,000% I would make the motion to accept this gift.
To the secretary here, is it appropriate for me to second in this case?
I believe so.
Yes, you can second as the chair.
Okay, I'll second. And yeah, I mean, you can't eat that at all. I mean, thank you very much, and I'm sure the tennis team thanks you very much too. We got to keep the kids off it until it cures, though, huh? Yeah, that's great.
And Mr. Sweat is doing an outstanding job as teaching the Boys and Girls Club how to play tennis. So when I saw this, I was equally excited, because there are concerns with the condition of the courts now, and and Mr. Sweat pointed out, you don't want someone twisting an ankle or something, and it's been, I think, 7 or 8 years since this was last done, so thank you.
So he's been helping with the youth at the Boys and Girls-
Absolutely.
yeah? Wow, we got some great people on this committee, we really do.
We have some great kids in town.
Yeah.
Kenny does a great job. These are really good children.
Absolutely. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays, abstentions?
Abstention.
Mr. Sweat abstains. Thank you very much again. Next item is the superintendent's report.
Well, our opening day is coming very close. By the time we have our next meeting, we will have opened school. We're still in the process of hiring some teachers. Unfortunately, we received a resignation, so it's still coming in, and we will be working toward having full staffing by the time we open school. Everyone has been working very hard in the buildings. They are gleaming, they're shining. Our professional staff brochure for our offerings is outstanding. Mrs. Rotella and her department have done a wonderful job, and we are ready to open our doors next Wednesday to our teachers and paraprofessionals on the 28th and 29th. We will have new teachers on the 26th and 27th, and our kids come on the 3rd. So we're very excited, and we're ready. As far as any other information, I've been meeting very many wonderful, caring people around the town of Wareham and Onset. I cannot even describe how kind people are, the giving, the willing to engage. So I believe you're going to see some very wonderful things occurring for our community. I'm quite excited. If there are any people that have been watching that would like to have a conversation with me, please feel free to call, email me, and I would be very happy to reach out and hear your thoughts and your advice. So thank you very much. And the next meeting, I'm looking to bring some sports teams for you to meet, some of our senior athletes, and some of our captains. So we hope to fill with athletic jerseys.
I just want the superintendent to know that I am now following her on Twitter.
Okay. It's going to start full-time.
I am too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's been, yeah, it hasn't been updated much recently, right?
Yeah, it has, and
Oh,
I'll
it-
have to admit.
Okay. No, I
We'll
wasn't sure
start.
if I had the right one. I think this is the right one.
Okay.
Is that it for your report?
It is.
I guess while we're on it, I just heard from Michelle, you guys are completely moved into the multi-service center now?
That's right. We have made our move. We're on the 2nd and 3rd floor. We're very grateful to the towns for allowing us to do that. It's wonderful having everyone together. The space is beautiful, and we're telling people, please come and visit us.
So what's become of the Everett building?
Well, nothing yet, but we're going to be working on how we can do some restoration. We're going to make some contacts with various people and see how we can keep that as part of our community.
Okay. And is there any staff at the middle school now, or are they all at the multi-service center now?
Everybody's at the multi-service center, with the exception of some of our technology is still here because of the locked door and everything.
Gotcha. Thank you. School committee reports. Anything? No.
We don't have any committees
No,
yet.
I know. So, just a standing item, I guess. We're on to any other business, and it's not even 8:30 yet. So, any other business?
Our student rep is extremely happy it's 8:30. No, I don't. I just actually want to thank the superintendent for trying to escalate an agreement for the Hammond School, because it has been a long process, as we're almost into the start of school. But we're all confident that things can work out for the best interest of all parties involved. And I just asked the superintendent, I had some concerns, and she addressed them immediately, and on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club, and we appreciate that.
Mr. Sweat, anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Just echo what Kenny said. I'm hearing a lot of positive things too. And you know, you heard it here tonight, and people aren't afraid to say it, you know, and that's a good thing. So with that, I guess I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
It's too early. Second.
All right. We are adjourned.
You can go home.